insurance, and training. And those, when I started my consultancy, were costs of doing business. So I would take my client gives me £5,000 in a week for the work I've done for them, and 20% of that was my salary, and the rest went to pay for all of the expenses that I incur doing business that I don't incur as an employee. And the government just said, oh no, those expenses, you should be covering them yourself. Well, no, if I worked for a client, if I was an employee of a client, my client would be paying my insurance, my legal fees, my accountancy fees, and my training, because I would be their employee. So they have a vested interest in all sorts of things. Plus they get cheaper insurance, cheaper accountancy, because they're covering all of their employees. Basically, the accountancy is your payroll. A corporation pays a company to do its payroll, and that payroll covers all of their staff. When I'm doing it as a consultant, I have just me. So while it's only one person, it's cheaper per person to have 300 people on your payroll than it is to have one person on your payroll. But anyway, I basically, the UK government did it because they figured we can get more money in taxes from the independent consultants by making them pay taxes on all of their revenue, not just their profits. And yeah, I had to pay, if you work for somebody and they have you drive somewhere as part of your job, they generally have to cover your fuel expenses because that's part of your job, and yeah, they pay you for that. If you have to stay overnight, they pay for the hotel bills. Well, if I'm visiting a client for a week and that client's 200 miles from where I live, not really convenient for me to drive 400 miles a day to get there and back. So I would stay in a hotel, and my company would pay for the hotel. That was a cost of me doing business for my client. The client wouldn't pick up the hotel bill. Why would they? They just want someone to turn up and do the work they need done. So effectively what happened was all of my expenses, once you'd deducted all of my expenses and the tripling of my tax bill, I didn't have enough money left over from my revenue to give myself as a wage. My wage would have gone from about £30,000 to less than 8,000, and 8,000 is minimum salary. So I couldn't even afford to pay myself minimum salary if I had to pay £20,000 extra in taxation. And that's effectively what the federal government's doing now. And it's not just IT consultants or designers or people like that. Some of the people I had dealings with while the UK government was passing this, one of the guys was a hovercraft designer. And so, yeah, people who make hovercrafts don't need a hovercraft design team on staff. What they need is, oh, we have the need of a hovercraft that does this. Can you design us one? So it's a big task. Come in, design a hovercraft that does what we need it to do. We'll pay you £15,000 to design that hovercraft for us, but it's a one-time payment. And then we've got our hovercraft and you're done. And there were other people who did piece tasks. In the US, Uber drivers and the food delivery drivers who don't work for Pizza Hut or whatever are bitrate work. You know, we'll pay you to deliver a thing or to transport a customer from one place to another, but you're not our employee. You're using your own vehicle, your own gas. We will pay you to do a defined job. People who write stories for newspapers or magazines, they're not employed by the newspapers and magazines a lot of the time. They write an article and then they approach the magazines and say, are you interested in this article? Pay me, $10,000 for this article. Or whatever. But, it's a way that people can work from home, get paid, and they have to take care of their own taxes, their own everything. They're not looking for an employee, and an employee doesn't want you full time. They're happy to buy what you do as a commodity. Kind of like you as a homeowner don't need to employ a plumber full time. I've got a plumber just in case my pipes break. No, I want a plumber to come in when my pipes break to fix them. A lot of companies do the same thing. They don't have a plumber on staff to fix stuff because they don't have broken pipes 100% of the time. So they don't want a plumber sitting around doing nothing for hours at a time because there's no actual work for them to do. But large governments do not like independent consultants because they can't control them. And they also get lots of money for the big boys. So if you have a large company with 100 plumbers on staff and they do plumbing work in an area, they're perfectly happy having 100 people on staff, and the government likes that because it's a large company and the large company donates to lots of money to the government, whereas an independent consultant doesn't. And large companies will pay their... See, the thing was you could, if you were a company in the UK that wanted some IT consultancy work, you could go to a company that provided consultancy work and they had 100 consultants on hand. They would pay their consultants £20,000 a year and they would charge them out at effectively £100,000 a year. I charged myself out at £50,000 a year and paid myself $30,000. So my margins weren't as great as the big company, but I was cheaper than the big company, and usually I was better because big companies don't care how experienced their staff are, so long as the job gets done and they get paid for the consultancy work that their staff are doing. And also their staff, they're only paying them $20,000, so they're not looking for super experienced people. They're looking for bodies that will fill a role. But the US is going the same way the UK went 25 years ago. I'm not an independent consultant anymore. I'm a corporate employee. It's just easier sometimes. Running your own running your own business is, there's a lot of admin work which you don't you don't get compensated for, you just have to do it. And the government has a lot of forms that you have to fill out and do. So either you pay someone else, an accountancy firm, to do it for you, or you do it yourself. And doing it yourself is time I have to spend doing government admin, and not have fun or earn money for my company. Ugh. I think I might have to fold that in. Oh, it's going to rain. Ooh. Just noticed the little rain icon. When's it going to rain? Let's have a look at the weather. Oh, not for a while. It's 2 o'clock in the afternoon and it's going to rain at 8. Then it's going to be sunny at 1 o'clock in the morning. I doubt that, but okay, whatever. So, last field, I do believe. We'll get this done. As I was suggesting, I'm not sure what next week's stream will be. I will just there is a way to change the compass mode. I don't know what that is. But yes, today we'll be finishing off this job. I'll take everything back to the yard, we'll get it cleaned up and put away. And we're done with working our fields for another month. It's October, so November is mowing time. So all of these grass fields will be mowed next month. We will lime them after we've collected the grass into the silo. I might need £96,000 to put in another silo. It depends how much grass we make. One of the things I have done is I've eliminated one of the maize fields. Is not a grass field, so I'm probably going to keep, what is it, this field as maize and 2 of the other fields that currently have grass in as maize. The field behind the hedge in front of us is a permanent grass field. 102, which was the first field we sprayed today, is also going to be a permanent grass field. And then outside of that, everything else will be arable, but I may be switching grass into some of the arable fields for at least one cut, which will give us a little bit of a boost to the grass that we're growing. As I said, these 3 fields will tick between maize and grass over the course of a year. So we'll lime, they get limed and worked when this field needs ploughed. That field needs ploughed, that field needs ploughed, that field needs ploughed, that field needs ploughed. So these 76, 77, 8, 108 are our maize grass fields, and I do need to make sure they get the grass subsoiler through them after the next cut. And then I might lime them first and then cultivate them, because that will fix the pH problem. No, I won't. I'll just subsoil them next month after the cut. Basically, when I rip up the grass in this field, that's the point I put lime down so that we get a really good yield in maize. The permanent grass fields will be liming next month, but they don't need to be subsoiled because they never need ploughed. And then all of the arable fields are a completely new issue for our farm. But again, I'm probably going to be planting grass in them for at least one cut to give them something else in the field other than the crop that we're growing. We may go a little bit of crop rotation eventually, but I've only got 2 arable fields, so at the moment they're going to be what are they going to be? They're going to be barley. But we are going to have more and more income as time goes now. Every time we harvest a thing and sell it, I do want to make sure I buy a field. Obviously, field 102 having grass in it, I was trying to fix a bug by buying it and it didn't work out, so not the greatest of solutions. I wasn't planning to buy it now. I do want it eventually, but I was kind of expecting it to be a lower value or a lower cost to me. Sadly, not so much. So, oh well. Okay, you are done. And you're small enough that you make it round the corner. So we'll go get this emptied. Wash it up and put everything away. And this tractor again goes to the back because we hardly ever use it. Oh, I guess we'll be mulching with it or something that replaces it in spring. But for right now, this tractor is done with for the year, maybe for the year. Okay, pump the fertilizer out into the tank. Yay. I also want to buy some new hedges, not hedges, sheds. I want to try and put everything under a shelter, if not in a shed. Let's clean that off a little bit more, and you're good, and you're good. Okay. I'll put this over here, I think. Difficult piece of equipment to maneuver because it has a flexible hitch and it also has steering wheels, so it can get out of control very, very quickly. I think that's good. Okay. So, put this away. Brum, 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 brum. And how's that look? I don't know, there's a wall in the way. Actually, that looks fine. Jump out, grab the Renault, put that away. I should put that grain cart away at some point as well, but don't think I really need to yet. We do need to ship the silage at some point, but not right now. Okay, put that in there. Jump out of that one, and there we go. So, reviewing this, we have an awful lot of silage leaking out the side of that bunker. But we have this empty bunker. I think it's going to be easier to fill this up with 1.5 million litres of grass. I do believe we have approximately that in maize. Maize silage, I got 1.1 million. But you look at that, and there's a lot of capacity. We could go higher. So that's not going to be as difficult to fill as the ones we had over there, which were open-ended, both ends. Oh, that's... But I think for now, I'm fine with that. What did I want to look up? Oh, I wanted to look up. There's a whole truckload of cultivating contracts. There is that big cultivator. 10. And that big cultivator was quite cheap, if I remember rightly. This thing. I mean, it's only 8 meters. It does need a lot of horsepower. We have 370. Oh, that might not even be enough. 379, 390. Yeah, we don't have enough horsepower in our tractors to haul that. So, not as good as I thought it was. 390, that. 388. Ooh, borderline. Definitely not. And the old 7720. Also definitely not, but yeah, that's closer. But still, I would need to buy that and the other one. So I'm not going to do any cultivating contracts. The baling contracts, there's a lot here. That's tedding. That's also tedding. Looks like a lot of hay contracts. Oh, there's a wrapping contract. So I think we can do about 6 of these in one day. Definitely 4. We did 4 last time. And so I could do some of those either next week on October 2 or during the course of this week. Since I'm off, I'll be able to put in a little bit of time on the farm. And then we'll be able to see what we get up to on October 3 after that. Again, I don't think we've got much to do right now. Let's go look at the fields. Need to turn on grass. Oh, these are all ready to harvest. But I usually leave them to November. These are not ready to harvest. They're sort of ready to harvest. I'm going to have to run. I could have jumped into the Kubota. I didn't. The thing was, I was able to fertilise them. So these are ready to harvest growth stage 3 of 3 forage. So they're actually fully grown, they're not ready to harvest. Growth stage ready to harvest would be an extra 50% yield on them. So I want to wait till that happens. That'll be November 1. We then have to mow them all, collect them all, put them all in the silage compactor and compress them and wait until December. And then December, January is the best time to sell this stuff. So long as I don't need to buy another silage clamp, that's what will work next month. But for October, our farm is done with work we need to do on the farm. So I'm going to call it here. I need to take a break. I need to get some medicine and some rest. So I will wish you all a good week. We'll be back next Saturday, maybe. Yes, we'll be back next Saturday. I thought something's happening next Saturday, but that's Saturday night. We've got things happening. But Saturday morning, nothing happening. So we'll be back next week on Saturday. Outside of that, have a good weekend. Have a good week. I'm out of here. Have fun, everyone. Bye. No.